All right, everybody, how's it going? It is Monday, April 1st, 2019, and we, of course, just finished with week 8 of the AAF, so we have to go ahead and move on to week 9. Quick comments about week 8, I guess. It was sort of what I would consider it was a good week of the AAF. I didn't really agree with the way that the officiating went down in the Express Apollos game. A lot of weird late calls all happened to go in favor of the 6-1 team rather than the team fighting for their playoff life, and it just seemed a little fishy that the Apollos, who were playing lackluster, they were obviously getting beat. They were going to lose that game based on the optics, kept getting bailed out by the referees, so that kind of shitted that game out. The Iron clinched their playoff spot. The Hot Shots destroyed the Commanders, and the Stallions beat the Fleet in a weird 8-3 game. Probably one of the weirdest football scores I've ever seen is 8-3, but hey, this is the AAF, and anything can happen apparently. Let's go ahead and move on past week 8 and go ahead into week 9 and go over our week 9 AAF Pick'em video or picks, and you'll see. Saturday games on April 6, 2019. Of course, we have first at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas at 12 o'clock. Oh, wow, 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this game's going to be played rather early in comparison to their typical 2 or 4 o'clock game. This game will be at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time on CBS. I will probably be live reacting to this game if nothing interferes or I don't have any thing that I have to do. I'll live react to this one. It'll be on CBS, the main CBS, as apparently there's a big deal for this game, the Express versus the Commanders. So it'll be on national TV on CBS as the San Antonio Commanders host the Memphis Express. And I actually, as you can see, I have an upset in this game. Give me a moment. Yeah. The reason I have the Express winning this game is because they were en route for a very good run here. They beat the Iron. They were going to beat the Apollos until, whatever. It doesn't really matter about that, but they were going to beat the Apollos, the Express were. The run doesn't matter, but they were going to win that game until the referees got involved and made sure that the Apollos won and they didn't lose to one of the worst teams in this league. I don't think the referees are going to pull those same kind of punches against the Commanders. And just based on what I've seen the last couple weeks out of the Commanders, they haven't looked good. I know they won their game where they won like 15 or 19-15 or something over the Stallions, but that was against the Stallions and they looked bad in that game. And I thought if that team were to play a good team, they would get destroyed, and that's exactly what happened when they ran into the healthy Hot Shots. I believe they lost like they lost pretty bad. I can't recall the score of the Hot Shots and Commanders game, but I believe the Commanders weren't able to score double-digit points in that one. And I think coming off of that, the way that the Commanders lost that game, they lost that game. They got kind of beat up in it. It ended their winning streak in kind of a big fashion. They looked bad in that game. You kind of can go into the next game feeling a bit deflated, a bit uninspired, if you will, to perform as well as you could. So I have a feeling the Commanders are going to be playing a little bit of pity party and not playing as well as they typically could. I think the Express are going to come in not only being fired up from the fact that the referee screwed them, they're fired up, they're eliminated from the playoffs. They get to play the spoiler role for teams like the Commanders, who should have an easy win at home. But we've seen this in football, in college football, the NFL, any kind of league. We can see these typically bad teams come up and beat one of the playoff contenders who haven't clinched yet, and send the league into like a shockwave because they did it. They beat a good team. Because if the Express beat the Commanders in this game, they're playing spoiler, and I think the role of spoiler has always been done. There's always been a game like this. There's always been a team that gets beat, and then it kind of ruins or messes up or cloudies what the outcome of the season could be. This feels like one of those games in week 9. There's only 2 games left. This has to be the game, I think, where the Express beat the Commanders and really muddy up the Western Division in terms of the playoffs. The situation just feels ripe for an upset. It just feels right. I think the Express win 28-15. Sorry this one took so long. There's a couple games this week where it's like, yeah, ugh. So this feels like an upset. I would have got it right last week with the Express upsetting the Apollos, but again, the referees decided to get involved and kind of fuck that game all up. So now we have the Express going to be wanting revenge, wanting to kind of avenge the fact that the referees and shitty calls late kind of doomed them in their chance of holding off a comeback. I think the Commanders are going to play lazy, uninspired football because they're going to be kind of deflated after their losing streak ended in such great fashion. 28-18, big upset. Express beat the Commanders and really muddy up the Western Division. So that's my pick for the first game. Let's go to the second game. This game won't be really close. It's going to be at Spectrum. It's going to be at Spectrum Stadium in Orlando, Florida. The time will be 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It'll be on NFL Network, and it'll be the Orlando Apollos hosting the San Diego Fleet. The Fleet are 3-5. They're pretty much fighting for their lives to not be eliminated from the playoffs. I don't know if that really matters because they're going on the road to Orlando. There's not really much to say to this game. The Fleet have been struggling mightily the last couple games, where the Apollos have won 2 straight, even though, the Express game was kind of shifty. And one of those games was a comeback late win. There isn't really I don't know really much to say here. This is a complete mismatch. The Apollos are probably going to 8-1. The Fleet probably aren't going to be very relevant in this game. They've just been struggling too much on offense. Their defense has been pretty good, but again, their offense, the one thing that's always been good for them, all of a sudden has been bad. And it's not going to get any easier playing one of the best teams on defense and offense in the Apollos in Orlando. I just don't see the Fleet pulling it off. There's really not much to say here. Apollos win 35-23, and yeah, easy. It would be shocking to see the Fleet pull off this upset on the road, so it's not going to happen. Apollos win 35-23. Pretty simple. Oh, and then there's this fucking game. Location, Georgia State Stadium and in Atlanta, Georgia. 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Bleacher Report Live is going to be the host of this game. I might live react to this game just so we can clown out and make fun of, all the inept football play that we're going to see. The Atlanta Legends take on the Salt Lake Stallions. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a 3-5 team take on a 2-6 team to battle it out for who I think is really the worst team in the league. Basically, I'll read my summary. Well, someone has to win this game. Basically, I shut my eyes here and chose the team to win. The team picked was the Legends. Both teams are bottom dwellers of their divisions. Should be a hilarious game of punting and turnovers. I would watch for the comedy it will be. Yeah, that's basically. They're both like the worst 2 teams in the East and the West. The whole game is going to be turnovers, punting, really weird special teams mistakes, and just bad throwing, bad running, bad tackling, just horrible shit. It will be a very funny game to watch, and that's why we're going to watch it and clown on it. And somebody's got to win, so I just kind of threw a dart at one of them, and whichever one it hit, they won. And then I just kind of thought up 2 scores really quick. Legends win up 14-11. Somebody has to win, I guess. They can tie. They can't tie in the AAF, so I don't know. This is ugh. 14-11, I guess. I don't know. And then this game I actually have a lot to say about. Sun Devil Stadium in Tempe, Arizona is the location. The time will be 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. It will be on NFL Network. And the Arizona Hotshots, who I think are the premier of the Western Division, will take on the Birmingham Iron, the most overrated team in the AAF. Both teams are 5-3. The the Hotshots, of course, lost 3 straight when they were dealing with many injuries and a weird thing going on. Since then, they've won 3 in a row and have looked very, very good doing so. I believe they're the only team that has actually beat the Apollos, so keep that in mind when you're thinking about this game. Also, this game on the surface looks like it will be a great matchup. You have the Iron, very, very good team, versus the Hotshots, very, very good team. But really, this is a very just not a good game. It's not a good matchup. The Iron are going to get beaten the hell up in this game, just like when they've played any other team that's decent. You see that the Iron, they have 5 wins. You're like, well, that's a good record, dude. What are you talking about? 5 wins is 5 wins. Their wins have come against the Fleet. The only team that they can actually say is a good win is against the Fleet, and that's not even a quality win. They're 3-5. The Iron have beaten the Fleet, the Atlanta Legends twice, the Express once, and the Stallions once. So they've beaten the 3 worst teams in the league 4 times, and the Fleet. But when they've played the Commanders, I believe they lost. When they played the when they played the Apollos, they lost. And then when they played the Express again, they got beat. So that's really embarrassing. So when you really look at the Iron, what are they? They're the best, worst team in the league. They're in the playoffs because they are gifted having the 2 of the worst teams in the entire league underneath of them. Whereas the West is a little weird because there's only one really, really bad team in the Stallions. So when I look at the Iron, I'm like, yeah, they can beat all the bad teams, but when they play the good teams or even semi-good teams, they lose. Case in point to the Express, to the Commanders who beat them, playoff team. They've lost to 2 playoff teams and they've beaten bad 5 non-playoff teams. 4 of them are bottom dwellers. So when I look at this game, I see the Hot Shots. They're 5-3. They're a good team. They're a playoff team. They're a quality team. So in my mind, like, the Hot Shots are at home. The Iron are going to have to come into Arizona and try to win a game that I don't think they're capable of doing, simply based on the fact that they only beat bad teams. They've lost to all the playoff teams that they've played, the 2 of them. And the Hot Shots are probably going into the playoffs, and they're at home. The Iron barely beat the Legends yesterday. It was a closer game than it should have been. I think the Iron might have had like 40 possessions, and they punted the ball away the majority of the game. It's just really poor football that they play, and the only reason they're good is because they beat up on these bad teams 4 times. So and they struggle beat them sometimes. It's really just a sad state of affairs with this with this Iron team. The Hot Shots have 3 losses, but they were also dealing with a lot of injuries at that point in time. So this game is not as close as it looks on paper. The Iron aren't as good as you think they are. Yes, they're in the playoffs, but that's because the Legend and the Express are so bad. And the Iron are very mediocre. They're the worst playoff team. And I know the Iron fans are not going to like me saying this, but really look at your team. You're horrible on offense. Sorry, you are. You only beat bad teams. Your record indicates it. Go look at your wins and your losses, how they break down. I just did it for you. 4-1 against I'm not even gonna do it again, but yeah, the Iron, they're just not gonna win this game. 27-9. Hot Shots destroy this team. And I believe the Hot Shots can actually clinch their playoff berth if they win this game. So I'm rooting for the Hot Shots to win this game. I don't like the Iron. I also think the Iron are going to play a little bit rested, a little lazily. The fact that they're in the playoffs, they have nothing left. There's nothing for them to risk. Hot Shots still have a lot to gain here. They still have to fight for their playoff spot. Hot Shots win easily based on everything I said. 27-9. So let's go over my picks again really quick. I believe the Express upset the Commanders 28-18. The Apollos beat the Fleet 35-23. The Legends and Stallions disaster game that's going to be 14-11. I think the Legends pull it off. And in this one, I think the Hot Shots beat the incredibly overrated Iron 27-9. Let's go ahead and stop with the picks then. I'll go back really quick just so, whatever. Let's go over our Week 9 AAF standings just to get an idea where the league is at. We have the East Division. Orlando is, of course, in first place at 7-1. Birmingham is in second place at 5-3. And then Memphis is in third at 2-6, -42 net points. The Legends are in fourth place or last at 2-6 with -125 net points. And by the way, that's a team that the Iron have 2 of their 5 wins against. Just a heads up. Just letting you know that. The Express is another one. The Fleet. And the Stallion. So just whatever. Just whatever. take it as you will. Irons suck. Western Division, we have the Hot Shots in first place based on net points. At 5-3, they're in first place with plus 42 net points. The San Antonio Commanders are in second at 5-3 with a plus 4 net points. And then the San Diego Fleet are 3-5 with -3 net points. And then in fourth place, the Salt Lake Stallions are 3-5 with -8 net points. So here are the standings, however you want to use them, however you want to look at them. I believe they break it down with if the team has similar records, they go by net points to determine place in standings. That's why I have the numbers next to them. And the asterisk next to the one next to the Apollos and Iron just denotes that they clinched a playoff berth. Here is my Week 9 AAF Power Rankings. At number 8, down one spot from 7, is the Atlanta Legends. After their loss to the Iron, the Legends stink. And then we have up one spot then after their thrilling nail-biter win over the Fleet. A game they won 8-3. They're up one spot to number 7. Memphis Express, they'll stay at 6 with no change. They should have beat the Apollos. The refs screwed them. So no change there. The San Diego Fleet stay at number 5. No change. Just it is what it is. Number 4, the Iron, they stay exactly where they are. Their win was not impressive. Nothing they do is impressive to me. They only beat bad teams. Let's see. And then we have down one spot from number 2 is the San Antonio Commanders after they got destroyed by the team that leapfrogged them. So at number 2, we have a new number 2 after many weeks of no change. The Arizona Hotshots have become what I think the second best team in the league. They've been just torching people, beating them up, taking victims. Hotshots at number 2, and of course, no change, far and away by themselves on an island, basically, with a mile-high fortress, and turrets are now installed. The Orlando Apollos hold on to the number 1 ranking in the power rankings for my AAF for Week 9. They're just not going anywhere. Nobody's taking number 1. They'll finish the year at number 1. Trust me. Unless they play Arizona for the championship. Arizona's going to win that. Here is our AAF Pick'em record. So I guess really quick, 8 Legends, 7 Stallions, 6 Express, 5 Fleet, 4 Iron, 3 Commanders, 2 Hot Shots, 1 Apollos. My AAF Pick'em record, as you can see here, last week I went 2-2, bringing me to an overall of 19-13. Not exactly the best record, but again, that's not exactly the worst record either out there. So I wish I was a little bit better, but it is what it is. Just over 500. I don't know. I could do better this week. Hopefully I go 4-0, but I've been making a couple upset picks, picking with my gut, and whatever. But, you know, you take some chances. It's whatever. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found it helpful for your Week 9 AAF needs, in terms of like finding the games, what the standings are, what rough power rankings might look like, what your pick'em record is, all those things. Hopefully you found that useful. If you did, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Both those things help grow us out. What do you think of my picks? What do you think of the video? Leave a comment down below and I'll be sure to get back to you. Pretty good about commenting back to people and making sure that they're, you know, responded to with whatever they comment. Even if it's super negative, you know, you'll get your response. It may not be a positive response, but I'll give it back to you. But yeah, I want to know your picks, so make sure you comment, leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Really helps. I don't know. AAF's almost over, but it's been a good run. Hopefully the owner of the league doesn't decide to fold it because the NFL doesn't play ball. That would be very sad, as Detroit and other northern teams are expected to be getting some expansion. So fingers crossed. Let's hope it keeps going. And yeah, hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Hopefully you enjoyed my Week 9 picks. Let's see how we do. Have a good day, and I will see you next time. Peace out. Go Patriots.